My name is Leah Barrett, and this is Precarious. I have been diagnosed with cancer 3 times in the past 6 years, and to say my life hasn't gone as planned is an understatement. I used to believe that if I worked hard enough, I could achieve whatever I set my mind to, and that if I followed the rules, everything would be okay. And then cancer happened. And that rule book that I had relied upon to give me a sense of control and security suddenly stopped working. There was no amount of working hard enough that would give me what I most wanted, to not have cancer. Instead, what I have realized is how precarious life really is. And in those moments of uncertainty, there is beauty if you look for it. In this podcast, you will hear stories of how others navigate life's precarious moments. We are all walking on a tightrope. It's my hope that you will hear your story in their stories, and that maybe you might not feel quite so alone. How afraid should I really be? That's the question I've been wrestling with. For probably the past 6 years, ever since I was diagnosed with cancer the first time. And now, more than ever, this question is coming up. It's coming up because we are, at the time of this recording, in a worldwide pandemic facing the realities of an unknown, and that is the COVID-19 or coronavirus. How afraid should I really be? I've wanted to ask that question of my providers, my medical team. And in all honesty, I've been too afraid to ask that question. I don't really want to know the answer, so I sit with it. What level of fear is considered okay? Please tell me, someone tell me, so I have a roadmap, so I can make a plan, so I know how to feel about what I'm going through. And I think many of us might be feeling this right now, that there is a common thread of not knowing, of managing these emotions, especially the fear. There is so much uncertainty right now. The definition of precarious is dependent on chance, uncertain, not securely held or in position, dangerously likely to fall or collapse. I pretty much think that captures what this uncertainty is all about, how precarious this time in history is. And so many of us are wrestling with this concept of not knowing how to feel, not knowing how afraid to be, looking for some sort of roadmap, trying to hang on to something to help us feel grounded, to not let anxiety sweep us away. I have had a lot of experience with these feelings since being diagnosed with cancer. There are so many parallels between going through a cancer diagnosis and treatment and what's currently going on right now in the world. The very essence of the diagnosis and all the procedures and tests and the ongoing follow-up lead us to these feelings of anxiety and uncertainty. The whole experience is precarious. It's unpredictable. There are unknowns. There are lots of feelings of loneliness and isolation. And that is something that, again, due to the nature of the recommendations with the outbreak of COVID-19, many of us are feeling. We're being asked to socially distance. Some of us are being asked to isolate. And with that comes the physical experience of not being able to literally touch each other, to hold each other, to hug, to shake hands. But there's also the emotional isolation that comes with that. Our lives are being interrupted. We're being asked to stop and stay in place. We're being asked to let go of plans. There's so much grief around living with that, releasing what we thought we knew. Just this week, I had scheduled follow-up CAT scans and blood work and an oncology appointment. These were regularly scheduled appointments. And hours before I was going to go in for the CAT scan, I received a call from the imaging center letting me know that the new recommendations were that non-emergent medical procedures were going to be postponed and rescheduled due to the COVID-19 outbreak. And I have to tell you, and anyone who's had cancer with scans involved, you can relate to what I'm about to say, the roller coaster that we go through in getting ready to do the scan is, let's just say it never gets easier. And I've had so many scans, you think it would get easier. Prepping for the waiting for the results, the bracing for bad news. How afraid should I really be? So I was getting emotionally ready to have that CAT scan and on full alert. The fight or flight response tends to get pretty queued up when that phone call came in, and I didn't know how to feel. Part of me was relieved, part of me was not relieved. I had the blood work done this week. Again, another 24 hours of waiting for results. And then the meeting with the oncology clinic, all that just in a few days, in addition to hearing the news about new recommendations and how to stop the spread of the COVID-19 virus. It was almost as if my nervous system couldn't take any more information in. How afraid should I really be? And I'm sharing this with you because I think we can look at this extraordinary time in our lives, this time in history, as an opportunity to get to know ourselves better and as an opportunity to build some grace and compassion for ourselves and others. This will define us, and it doesn't have to define us in a way that we look back with remorse and regret. Going through cancer, living in it now, has taught me that control is really an illusion, that our world and our experiences are just innately filled with uncertainty, that we live our lives as if we can predict what's going to happen. We make plans. We have potentially a formula that we think if we follow, we will understand the outcome. We can count on the outcome. What cancer teaches you is that is an illusion. And I'm not going to tell you that I have figured out how to manage living with this uncertainty. I'm not going to tell you that I have the answers for how to deal with the anxiety that comes with not knowing the future. I don't. But what I am going to share with you is you get better at doing it. I don't exactly know how. I've been reflecting on that. I think partly with experience and time and a sense of moments of looking back and being able to say, I got through that. I got through that. I got through that. There is a efficacy, a sense of confidence might not be the right word, but you have a track record. You have the experiences to look back on and say, For every hard thing that I thought I could not get through, I did. And that knowing is what helps get through the next hard thing, facing this unpredictable future. And though you may not have gone through cancer, I want you to know you have gone through hard stuff. You have. And that counts. That's one of the major reasons I've started this podcast, Precarious, is to have you hear stories of other people who've gone through precarious events and moments in their life, because I want you to realize that you're not alone, that you too have experienced challenging moments, uncertain times, and you know what it feels like to feel like your future might be unpredictable, that life at times has been filled with unknowns, and you have gotten through it. So I want to offer that there is an opportunity right now to break down this illusion of control and learn that you're going to be okay if you just sit with that you don't have to scramble to make it all okay, because ultimately it is okay. Thinking that feeling like you have a sense of knowing is going to make you feel secure and supported is an illusion. I get it. I want that too. I desperately want that. That's why I asked the question, how afraid should I really be? I want to know. I want some boundaries around this fear. I want someone to tell me. But what I've realized is nobody can tell me. And what brings me a sense of relief is when I face uncertainty and when I sit with letting go of control. It's in those moments I find just a little bit of peace. It doesn't last. It's absolutely fleeting. But I do go there. And that's why I continue to encourage myself to look at what I'm afraid of and ask myself if I can just let go and not be so attached to what I want. I don't want to have cancer. I don't want to be afraid of the COVID-19 virus. I want to know what tomorrow is going to bring. I want to feel like I can count on the future. I want to feel like I can be free of those worries. And I think that's normal. I don't want to imply that having anxiety, being afraid is somehow a deficit, a weakness, a sign that you're not coping well. That's not what I'm implying at all. I'm asking us to be open-hearted with ourselves, that we can face our fears and learn to sit with them and normalize them, just not let them rob from the time we have now. For every moment you let the anxiety be your reality, it steals from what is going on in the now. And I believe that that's one of the major lessons cancer has taught me. Again, I want to be clear with you. I have not mastered this at all. I have learned, though, that reflecting on getting through the tough stuff has brought me a sense of strength and resilience and confidence that I will get through the next hard thing. And so right now, we are all in some version of a really hard thing. And many of us are asking, how afraid should I really be? So I will leave you today with some thoughts about taking care of yourself physically and emotionally, taking care of others, leaning into the goodness of humanity, not letting fear steal from you. Anything you're feeling right now, any thoughts you're having, I want you to accept them, be gentle with yourself around them, try not to judge. It's all a part of being human, facing unknowns, living with uncertainty. It's normal to be afraid. Be gentle with others. They have their own way of experiencing this precarious moment. Fear might not look like fear. It might come across as anger, irritability. It might come across as shutting down, becoming quiet. It might come across as humor. You might not recognize it. You might not see yourself and other people. Try to be open. Try to be patient. Understand that we are all connected right now through this common thread of uncertainty. It does bond us. No one is immune to this. It is a worldwide pandemic. No one is untouched. And if this is going to sound like a weird way to feel comforted, I actually feel comforted knowing that we're all connected through this common threat. One of the things about going through cancer that I've talked about is the loneliness and isolation that as I walk through the world, I often feel as if I'm, living on a different planet and I don't have the roadmap, and I can observe the rest of humanity living their lives, and it feels so distanced from me. Right now, I can honestly say that we are all affected by this pandemic. And instead of isolating us, I encourage us to think of the commonalities and the interconnectedness. And there's something really beautiful about that. These are precarious times. How afraid should I really be? I don't know. But whatever you're feeling, it is temporary. It ebbs and it flows. You can do this. You've done hard things. You will get through this. So today, take a deep breath. Take lots of deep breaths. Reach out. Check in with someone you love. Check in with a stranger. You don't have to isolate socially just because you're being asked to socially distance or physically isolate. Call someone, FaceTime, video chat. It matters. It's important. Ask yourself what you need. What would comfort you? Ask someone else what they need. What would comfort them? It helps, not just for the person you're reaching out to or checking in on, but for you. It feels good. It feels good to get out of your own way, to get out of your head, to connect with someone else's humanity. It's love. And if there's anything about this precarious time right now that we are all experiencing, it can bring us together. And there is such beauty in that. It's an opportunity. Don't let fear rob you of the now. We don't know what tomorrow brings. Trying to sit with that truth, that illusion of control, learning to live with that. It's worth it. You don't have to be as afraid as you think you need to be. Let's promise each other that we will find moments to enjoy. Let's promise each other that we will look around us and notice the beauty, even in the pain. I will if you will. Thank you for listening to this episode of Precarious. Life is fragile and filled with uncertainties. I do believe there's beauty in those moments if you just look for them. I want to give a special thanks to my guests, as well as the Mental Health News Radio Network, who hosts this podcast. There you can find many other inspiring stories as well. I would love to hear your feedback, what you think about this show. So please do leave a comment. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram or my website, leahbarrett.com. This is Precarious with Leah Barrett.